All right, so I just finished making and posting my watch list video for Thursday, April 2nd. And then thank you, Dylan, on Twitter. He replied to my video, no sound in the video. I haven't done that in a long time. I always feel like a schmuck when I do it, but so here I am. I'm just got to make the video over. All right, so anyway, the SPY gap down today. Tried to mount a rally, but ended up closing pretty close to its lows. I think the Dow was down almost 1,000 points at the close. I made a video today on Twitter talking about APT, and I made a little short video with my phone, but these videos kind of give me a better chance to explain a little better when you hear me talk about stacked catalysts and that sort of thing. This is an example, of some catalysts above, and I've got the lines in the places where I deemed potential catalysts. But anyway, so APT in the pre-market, we were watching this for a 2-day high break, right? Because it hit 13 yesterday. I love whole number breaks, especially when they coincide with a 2-day high break. And in pre-market, it broke 13, but then came back down below it. And I said over the mic, I said, well, I like this if it opens below 13. I like it through 13 if it takes it out as a 2-day high break. Well, it ended up kind of selling off in pre-market and opening up way down here, then flagging, and then breaking 13. I didn't have time to say it. I was kind of watching this flag break, thinking this flag break, then we have the 2-day high break, and then this recent high, right? So there's one catalyst, will be a break of yesterday's high. Anyway, long story short, my idea in pre-market was, hey, if this breaks 13 after opening below it, I like it. Again, if you were in chat, you know I didn't call that out as it was happening, but I did give the idea out in pre-market. So that's why I'm talking about it here. I actually was able to grab it, but didn't get the idea out in time. However, for those of you in chat, I did call it through 1450 here. You kind of had this sort of a mini little cup and handle, right? And you had a half number inflection point, and this red line was the earlier high, which was, I don't know, like maybe 1475 or something. It was somewhere around there. So I love the half break, knowing that this thing was strong. It was in the right space. The president had said they may be asking people to walk around wearing masks. There was other talk about mask shortages. This was just 100% in the sweet spot. So I actually made this one, and a whole bunch of people got this, as you can see. That was all the thank yous were for this call. But it really gave a couple setup, the through 13, then the through the half. And I think even Wayne late in the day, and I'll switch, see how it closed. I took this shot before, I don't know, it was maybe 1 in the afternoon when I took this shot. So if I fast forward to APT, show you 5-minute candles here, you can see what it did. The rest of the day just kept climbing. I think Wayne called, I want to say, a second mouse through 17 right there. And it ended up going, nah, I could be wrong. I think that's right. Second mouse through 17 and ended up going to 1750. That doesn't seem right. He called it lower than that. I don't know. I apologize. I can't remember what it was. Wayne, you can tell me tomorrow. But I know a lot of people also got your trade. One other thing, Wayne, if you're watching, another thing I got right, and I know you keep score on these stocks that I mentioned might be nice after hours movers. Late in the day, I said APT might rally in after hours. It was kind of my choice to do that, and my choice pick that would be strong in after hours. And it did close out after hours at 1870 and briefly went over 19. So I was right about that. Hopefully, I opted to go grilled steaks, but hopefully some of you stayed around and made some money in after hours off that. Anyway, having said all that, this is on watch tomorrow because of that strong volume, strong close, and everything I just told you about being in the right space. Before I go into the rest of the list, I'm going to share this real quick. I got my green dots back, which every green dot is a new high for the year. This is TradeStation's equity curve, every trade I've taken this year. Each little change is not a day, they're a trade. So this is literally every trade on a chart. When I got back from vacation, I had a good first day, and then I did this the second day. I started gambling, and as often happens, what Wayne calls these a cleanse day, as often happens when you throw the rule book out the window, you throw process out the window and you gamble. I think this was the end of that day. Well, as often happens, I come in the next day with vengeance in my heart and trade too big. And so this may have been 3 or 4 more days that I chopped around before I said, you know what, dummy, it's time to get your process back together. And then I started getting my process back together. And it actually got back to new highs for the year much more quickly than I usually do after one of those cleanse days. So I'm proud of that. I wanted to share that because getting your process together is just everything as a day trader. You have to follow the process. the minute I started gambling. And vacations are supposed to be good for people. I think it took me out of the market mindset because look how steady I was all year and came back with a gambler mentality. Maybe because I stayed at a casino hotel. I don't know. Anyway, it's nice to be back in new highs for the year. So APT, I talked about that one. AHPI. I also want to watch this one. Also protective personal protective equipment, whatever it is. And this one looks pretty good too. I also mentioned this possibility for after hours runner. It ended up 2160 after hours. But I like the fact that 3 or 4 days ago, this topped out about $22. So I like this through 22 tomorrow, especially if APT is going. All right. AIM had this huge move back here, basically gave it all back, but tried to mount a rally 3 days ago, went to 345, then put in an inside day, and then today is right back up. And you've got a 2-day high here. Today was 309, yesterday was 310. So I like this over 310. That might be enough to break it to test this 345. And if it takes out 345 with fervor, that 345 could act as a catalyst for higher prices. So I want to keep my eyes on that one. It is in the COVID space, I believe. CEMI, strong day, but closing well off its highs. Let me give a hat tip to Jane, who called a second mouse right there through 7, and a pretty quick move to 8. I love the second mouse play. You had the earlier high above as another catalyst. I love that call by Jane. And again, a dollar move on a $7 basis is a really nice trade in a very short period of time. Anyway, I want to watch that one tomorrow, maybe a red to green. DYNT, I think, is also in the personal protective equipment space and a pretty good volume day, pretty strong close. Let's watch that one, although the chart's a little uglier than the other ones. Lake, also in that space. Maybe if all these continue, maybe Lake can break out of this sideways consolidation and get going. NBY, I also think, but double check this, I also think this is in that same space, and I like the fact that it topped out at $1 and ran almost to $1.60 a couple weeks ago. So I like this through $1 tomorrow, assuming we have everything lining up intraday like we teach. CTXR, nice volume day and a pretty strong close, also worth watching. And then OMI, I think, is also in the PPE space. And if AIM and AHPI get to ripping, I like this one because it's in that space and you've got a 2-day pullback, so it's not really extended. So it makes this one maybe even possibly, I don't want to say more powerful because those other ones are low float and really move, but also I think deserves to be on a chart. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. Let's keep the teamwork going, and we'll see y'all in chat tomorrow.